Loreal Flowers with EXIT Realty. I am doing an online version of my normal in-person buyer's consultation. COVID-19 has happened and we're being creative. So to provide an overview of the process of buying a home, I'll just lay out the steps, and then from there I'll follow up by going in detail on each step. So the overview is getting your pre-approval, going to physically see homes, submitting an offer on a home, and then simultaneously you are having your attorney review the contract, you are having your inspection, and you're turning in earnest money. So those three things are all happening within the same window. Once you have turned in earnest money, once you have gotten your inspection back and your attorney has possibly negotiated some additional things for you, at that point as a buyer you are done. It pretty much goes to your lender from that point, and your lender is doing everything within federal mortgage lending guidelines to pretty much ensure that the home that you are buying is worth what they're going to loan it to you for, and then just going through your finances and dotting every I, crossing every T. Once they're done with doing what they do, which typically can take anywhere between 30 and 45 days, we get a clear to close. When we get the clear to close, at that point we schedule to do the final walkthrough. At that point we're making sure that you see, making sure that the home is in the same condition as when you originally saw it, and all goes well with the final walkthrough. Then we pretty much show up at the closing table, you sign a bunch of documents that your attorney is there to explain to you, and you get the keys. That's the overview. To go into details, getting a pre-approval. This is the first step because, show me the money. Your lender will pretty much ask you for a series of documents, W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns. It's a lengthy list of the things that they ask you for. Once they review your credit, your financial situation, they will tell you that we will pre-approve you up to this amount. Whatever that amount is, that's what we use when we are submitting offers on your behalf. So this process can typically take, I've seen it be as quickly as 48 hours. It's just a matter of you being able to provide the documents that they're asking for. So that's a pre-approval, which is different from a pre-qualification. Pre-qualification is pretty much you're disclosing verbally what your income is, what your debt is. It's not as concrete. It's technically not official. It's the honesty system. So when we submit offers for people that are ready to go ahead and buy a house, we submit it with an official pre-approval that is based on them pulling your credit, based on actual concrete financial documents that you've provided. So you get your pre-approval, you then tell me, I want a home in this area, I want this many bedrooms, I want it multi-level, I want a 2-car garage. I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of personal preference and what people want for their houses. When you tell me what it is that you want, I start emailing you properties that are currently on the market. I set up those emails, they go out automatically. Sometimes the frequency can be once a week, it could be, in real live time as properties hit the market, it could be every so many days. We'll have that discussion. And, sometimes I'm even looking for clients and, I'll bring a property to my client's attention. But pretty much, you get these emails and you tell me, hey, this Saturday or when I'm off on Tuesday, I want to go see these 4 properties, and I schedule them. When I'm scheduling properties, there's a such thing as a lockbox, where it's literally kind of like a combination lock that holds keys, and in some cases an agent will say, here's the code, you're approved to show it at this particular time. In some cases, there's tenants and it's like, okay, because of landlord tenant ordinance, we have to give them 48 hours. You can't show them on this day, but you can show it on this day. Other times, an agent is physically meeting me at the property. So we just arrange the scheduling, and then we go and we check out the properties. As we're walking the properties, you know, I may ask questions, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Just so that we can kind of narrow and start honing in on your personal preference. Eventually, you get to the point where you find a home, you're ecstatic about it, you want to put in an offer. Um, we, at that point, I go and I do research on how homes are selling in that area, because just because a home is listed for 200,000 doesn't mean it's worth 200,000. Pretty much at that point, I'll research how homes have been selling in that area, and I'll say, hey, it's my recommendation based on XYZ that we actually put in an offer in this range. You know, in some cases, it's a really hot market and there's low inventory, and there's situations where homes are, going under contract within 2 days. In that situation, I would advise you, hey, this is, priced in a really good price point. Homes are going really quickly in this area. You might want to go over asking price. Other situations, it could be a situation where a home has been on the market, 60, 90 days or something like that. We may possibly, gosh, hotline, sorry. We may possibly have seen something on the property disclosure, which is pretty much something that is provided on every single listing, the condition of the home. And we'll already know that there's roof issues, or we'll already know because it's been listed, that there's water damage or something like that. And I'll say, hey, based off this property disclosure, they've already told us that you gotta go in doing some work. I recommend that you put in an offer in this range. So I'll give you a range of where I think that we should be, and then you'll come back and say, hey, I really like it, or hey, I don't like it. I actually want to put in an offer for whatever the dollar amount is. I'll write up the contract. Sometimes I may include closing costs in there, a home warranty. It could be a situation where maybe someone's lease isn't up until like a month and a half later, or 2 months. I may extend the closing date or something like that. All negotiable. Pretty much is all done with your consent, because you, as a buyer, you do have to sign the contract. In addition to that, we have the discussion regarding earnest money. Earnest money typically, at the very lowest, is $1,000. Maybe it's a situation where it's a really hot market. We went to an open house and we saw about 15 other people there, and you're like, no, I really want to put in a strong offer. I want to beat out the competition. For my earnest money, I want to do $5,000. We'll have that conversation based on whatever we conclude. I'll draft it up and I'll electronically send you the document for you to sign, or I may meet you in person depending on how we have to maneuver it. I put in the contract. We wait for the seller's attorney to get back to us. Sometimes they accept the offer as is. Sometimes they decline it and don't want to counter. Other times it's a, hey, we accept the price, we accept the date that you want to close. However, we noticed that you put in here that you wanted the stove, the refrigerator. We don't want to give you the stove and the refrigerator. Hey, we noticed that you said that you were going to deliver earnest money within 4 days. We want earnest money within 24 hours. And we really just kind of go back and forth until we eventually come to an understanding. At that point, the seller signs it, the buyer gets a copy of it, and that's when we bring in the buyer's attorney. In terms of buyer's attorneys, lenders, in terms of inspectors, I have a list of, of course you can do a basic Google search and Google whoever you want. You can work with whomever you choose to work with. But if you don't have anyone and you don't want to take the time to do it, I have a list of experts, and you can choose anyone on that list. Where was I at? attorney. So we get the contract to the attorney. They review it. They look it over. At the same time, because there is a such thing as a 5-day attorney review period, and during that 5-day attorney review period, which is 5 business days, you can pretty much cancel the contract, get your earnest back with no explanation. So we're moving pretty quickly during this time frame, and time is of the essence. It can be extended, but if it's not necessary, and your money is on the line, let's not play those games. But we schedule the inspection. Inspections can range anywhere between $300 and $1,000. It really depends on the square footage of the house. I will say you get what you pay for. Inspection reports, I've seen them be as brief as 10 pages. I've seen them be as lengthy as 50 pages. Um, it's a huge investment. I always encourage my buyers to get an inspection unless they're an investor or they've fixed and flipped and they have experience with that, but I still recommend it. You just never know. You get the inspection. That is an out-of-pocket expense for buyers. They typically turn over the report within about 48 hours. You look it over. I look it over. The attorney looks it over. Sometimes in the inspection reports they may recommend that you hire someone that has a certain level of expertise. So they may recommend that you reach out to an electrician, or they may recommend that you reach out to a plumber, or whatever the case may be. It's just a matter of them seeing something and them letting you know that someone else actually specializes this in depth, and they recommend that you have them come and check it out. So should the inspection come back nothing wrong, great. um, Most of the time there's something. So typically, you know, you find something wrong with the house. Unless a home is new construction, there likely will be something. Um, in some cases, you will say, hey, I don't want the seller to fix it, just give me money in terms of lowering the purchasing price. In some cases, there's a situation where it's so minute or trivial, you're like, no, just have them fix it before close or something like that. Give us a receipt, or, give us a home warranty or something. Whatever the case, it's negotiated between the seller's attorney and the buyer's attorney. All things are open for negotiation. At the end of negotiations, an addendum or the final contract is drafted, or the final purchase price, and that's that. So at that particular time, that's when we're moving into the period where we're kicking it off to the lender, the money man or woman. And pretty much your lender is going to get an appraisal. Lenders will not pay more for a house than the house is worth. So they're going to, if you've written a contract and agreed to pay $100,000, they want to know that they are backing a home that is truly worth $100,000. Yeah, so the lender's going to get an appraisal. In some cases, the home may appraise for more than what you are purchasing it for, which is great, which means you are moving into a home that already has equity, which is great for you. In other cases, a home may appraise lower than what you're purchasing it for. In that particular case, a couple of things can be done. So, and I'm just saying $100,000 because, it's just simple math and most people can follow along with that. But, if you put in a contract and you have, agreed that you will pay $100,000 for a home, and after inspections or negotiations, all is well, the purchase price is still $100,000. When your lender goes to do an appraisal and it comes back and it's actually only worth $90,000. Scenario one, the lender will finance you for $90,000, and you as the buyer have to pay that $10,000 gap in addition to closing costs at the time that we are at the closing table and you're getting ready to get your keys. That's option one. Option two, again, the lender, it's worth $90,000. Your lender has had a certified appraiser go out. They know that they're only gonna give you $90,000. Option two, maybe you didn't budget to come to the table with an additional $10,000. You can walk away from the deal altogether, and that there's a clause within that contract that states if you cannot secure financing, the deal you can exit the deal and you can get your earnest money that was initially put up. In another scenario, maybe you have a seller that's really, really motivated. You could have a situation where the seller, you present the appraisal. I, as your realtor, present the appraisal to the other agent representing the seller, and I'll say, hey, appraisal came back $10,000 short. Is your seller willing to split the difference where the buyer comes with $5,000, or where the buyer comes with $5,000 and the seller comes with $5,000, so that we can close this gap? And some will do it, some won't. In other cases, and I haven't seen this as often, where the seller will take on the whole 10,000. But that's in a situation where there's enough profit for the seller, or a seller just really wants to be done with the house. But that is a scenario that does happen in terms of the home appraising for what you actually wrote a contract for. So other than that, that's when your lender starts doing all the paperwork. They're checking to make sure that the title is free and clear and able to be sold to you. If you're getting ready to take on $100,000 in debt, or whatever the number may be, you want to make sure that only you and you alone are claiming ownership to that home. So they're ensuring that no one else has any interest in the home or any stake in the home. They may be asking you for additional information because of new technology and things like that. As of lately, I have been seeing where people are getting cash apps and Zellies, and lenders are coming back to them and they're asking people like, hey, we noticed that this person is giving you $20 every Friday. Why are they doing that? And you may have to go back and explain, where's this miscellaneous income coming from, or why is it coming from? I've been seeing that as of lately. And we'll literally send you a chart, because they ask for bank statements as well, and we'll literally send you a chart with every single date where you've gotten cash from these random, Venmo. They're quite a PayPal. There are quite a few random companies like that. We'll send you a chart with the amount and with the date, asking for you to explain it. So they really do go through your life with a fine-tooth comb, and they're doing what they're doing, and eventually they will be done. It has went through underwriting and everything like that, and they'll say we got the clear to close. Pretty much at that time, they'll let you know where you need to be in order to close, what title company it's going to be at. They will also give you your final closing cost expenses. This is typically done 3 business days prior to closing. They'll tell you that, it needs to be money order, cashier's check, something like that. And we do the final walkthrough. Final walkthrough, as I said before, you want to make sure the home is in the same condition that when you initially saw it. I mean, in some cases, it's like 45 days. Some people, if people are living there and they've now moved out, you get to see the property, whatever wear and tear may possibly be there. This is Chicago. We have Chicago winters and winterization of empty and vacant houses. You have squatters. Whatever the case may be, you always do a final walkthrough. You do the final walkthrough. If something comes up, we go back and we negotiate Like, hey, when we initially came, there was a chandelier. All of a sudden, the chandelier is gone. Um, and we go back and we negotiate. It may possibly push back closing, but it has to be done. It has to be addressed. But yeah, that's the day of closing. You're signing your life away. As many people say, you will leave the closing table with a binder that is so thick. Um, every single thing that you sign, you know, your attorney will be there to explain it to you. You get the keys. We have a nice photo op. Um, and then we kind of go into the move in, let me help you get your lights, electricity, and these a whole bunch of after um, a whole bunch of after services that I provide with my business is just to help with the transition and moving and getting acclimated and getting garbage service set up. Yeah, but that is the process of buying a home. I hope this video was not too long. More than likely, if you're seeing this video, you and I possibly have a conversation scheduled in the near future. Feel free to watch it. Feel free to share it with other people. Um, yeah, that's the home buying process. L'Oreal Flowers. Let me help you purchase a home. Later.